Hey, everybody, Thomas here, and today we're doing a video with Neil and Mr.Robert, myself. We're going to talk about some stuff, but I also want to show this. Neil mounted Cherie's 11-point deer that she got this year, and I'm super, super happy with this looks. This looks absolutely amazing. We had to find a spot here in the shop to mount it. Very, very happy with it looks. That's pretty cool. So that'll be like, you know, a new addition to the shop here, and that's going to go up into our place in Tennessee or Wisconsin when we get to there. Also, I just want to show you kind of the shop here. All I lack is finishing up, but really, we got to get the electrical going through. We've got like the wrens coming through there. They have a little nest there, so 2 wrens might pop in on the video as we do this today. But yeah, we've gone through. You can see all the walls here and everything. I did some more trim. I've got one piece right here I'm, working on finishing up. Got my toolbox in here. Got a lot of toys still. Got a lot of slabs, but other than this wall here, and there's one other wall, no same species of wood touches itself. So there's a lot of different species. So it's varying throughout the wall. Let me go and set up here, make sure that the cameras look good here. And we're going to talk about dealing with customers. So, all right, gentlemen. So there was a question that came up the other day on a Facebook group talking about how do you deal with customers. So you've got 3 sawyers here and one guy who sharpens a hell of a lot of blades for everybody. So Robert, I mean, you cut for people from 1996 on to about 3 years ago when you sold your sawmill, and been regretting it ever since. But he sold his sawmill and his sharpener center. I'm like, what the? Whatever. Then he got back into sharpening and setting of blades. Of course, if you've seen our videos, you know he's the man, the myth, the legend, the master sharpener and setter. Neil has a 1600 Timber King and runs it like he stole it. I've never seen someone run a mill harder, and it just goes to the toughness of a Timber King. Because let me tell you, he puts it through its paces. I baby mine. Neil, if she ain't crying, she ain't running. So I mean, he'll run her at like 95% all the time, which is great.
You got to do maintenance.
That's and he actually, we've got some good videos with him coming up soon, where he's changed out the chains on your head up and down. You've changed out your rollers on your carriage. You've changed out hydraulic lines. You add an extension to it. I mean, what else have you done in your mill?
The idler bushings were worn out, and the lifting chains.
And you did your main bearings on your wheels. You did those.
I did those.
I mean, very capable individual. He knows how to work on the mill. Yeah, I mean, he knows how to work on a sawmill, so that's pretty good. But the question came up the other day: how do you deal with customers? And I'll kind of start off with one thing. And we were talking about this before, but no customers are the same. Everyone's kind of different and everything. The biggest thing I try to do is to treat everyone with respect, kind of treat them how you want to be treated. I think Neil was talking about that earlier. What would you say was that church?
Love thy neighbor.
Love thy neighbor. So, and the golden rule is like, do unto others as you'd have them do unto you kind of thing. You try to do that, but there are some jerks out there. And everyone, I mean, there are people that will try to undervalue your work or this, that, and the other. To give you a good example, about 4 years ago, I've been cutting for the public since about 2017 or something like that. And I've run a sawmill since 2003, but way back when I first started cutting for the public, I had an individual say, at the time I didn't have very much cedar, so I was at $2 a board foot for cedar, and that's just what my price was, because I didn't have a whole lot, and I wanted to hold on to some stuff that I'm working on. And he goes on to say, there's a little wren, 2 wrens up there, but he went on to say, like, I can find it for 30 cents a board foot somewhere else. And I said, sir, if you can find that, please let me know, because I'll go buy a ton of it, because I need some cedar. And then, fast forward about a month later, he came back to me saying, I really need some cedar, like $2 a board foot, I'll pay that. And I said, I just don't want to deal with you, because he already put up that kind of that pain in the ass attitude. I'm like, I don't have to deal with them. I like to pride myself on a good reputation with my customers and everything, and I just didn't want someone who was going to act like that. I'm not going to deal with them. So that was one take. Robert, you've had a whole lot of instances here in the sharpening world. You want to talk about the guy, he left some marks on it, and he decided he was going to do his own?
Yeah, I had like Thomas said, I had sold my sawmill at Sutter and got out of the business. I got to missing it real bad, and so instead of buying another sawmill, which I am probably gonna buy another sawmill, but so I bought me a pretty nice setter and sharpener and just went into the blade sharpening business. Just as something to do. Well, all you sawyers out there in South Mississippi and anywhere from San Antonio, Texas to way down in Florida and up in Alabama, y'all killing me.
Thanks, Thomas.
He's had people contacting, I'm sure they're watching the video, Utah, Oregon, Nebraska, South America. He has some guys want to ship some blades to South America.
Oh, he said, I'll keep you busy. He said, I'll ship you all my blades. But anyway, I'm just a one-man show. What you see is what you get. So I clean, I set, and I sharpen every blade that comes through my shop. Now my dog is out there all the time, but she just gives me moral support. Doesn't argue, doesn't care if I see other dogs. Come in late, she doesn't ask me where I've been.
Yep.
I can scold her, she's right back loving on me. I tried that with my wife one time. It didn't work. It works better with the dogs. And Thomas hit on something a while ago. He said something. I've been wrong all these years. He said, do unto others before they do unto you. I thought it was do unto the others before they do unto you. But anyway, I have had some customers in the sharpening, blade sharpening end of the sawmill business that they can really get on your nerves sometimes. You just have to deal with that. I can tell how a man's gonna be by what he first says. I had a guy tell me one time, he was from up in somewhere, I won't say where he was from, because he probably watched this video. But anyway, he said something about sharpening the blades. And I thought to myself right then that this guy is going to be hard to please. Well, I sharpened his blades, sent them back to him, and about 6 months after I sent them back, I got this nasty gram from him. It really wasn't nasty. It wasn't ugly. But he was, he said, you know, I put one of those saw blades on there you sharpened and it left a scratch mark in my wood. He said, I put another one on there and left a scratch mark in my wood. He says, you just need to keep practicing. He said, I politely told him that, you know, you live quite a distance away from me, that I'm sure that there are some people in your area who sharpens blades. You just need to find someone closer to you. And I left it at that. But you can't please everybody, and my goal is to do the best I can.
Mm-hmm.
I tell my friend Thomas here, I'll tell you a little story. I tell my friend Thomas, can I tell this story?
Yeah, go ahead. You got the show, you got the floor.
I like to do woodworking. It is my favorite thing. I'm a crafter. I'm a carver. I like to carve. Thomas has come over and I've taught him some things, or showed him some things. He picks it up real easy. He's capable of doing this stuff, and he'll whittle on something and he'll sand on it and he'll hand it to me. Well, I just politely hand it back and say, I think you need to lick this cat again because doesn't meet my quality that I would turn out. And I tell him, I say, Thomas, you take this piece of wood and you work on it. And this applies to saw blade sharpening also. I said, you take this piece of wood and you work on it, you get all those scratch marks out of it, you polish it, and it's the best you can do. I said, you finish it like you're gonna present it to Jesus. So if you're gonna give
It's tall order.
if you're gonna give it to Jesus, you want it to be the best you can do. Now, Jesus was the only perfect person on the earth at any time. He knows we're not perfect. He knows we cannot be perfect, but he does expect the best out of us. And that's what I try to do.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna make a mistake every now and then. When you're sharpening these saw blades, these people who manufacture these saw blades buy that band of steel. They stamp the tooth pattern in there. They grind it out. They heat treat it. They set it and they sharpen it. Well, I get blades from every manufacturer out there. Some of these blades are double tooth hardened. They got this, they got that. That steel doesn't always work the way you want it to. Like right now, it's pretty cold outside. So I put my saw blades in a room with heat and get the blades to comfortable room temperature.
Very few people probably do that. I'm just saying.
That way, that cold steel, if you go to push it on those teeth, when it's cold, it's brittle. It'll snap off.
We're talking Mississippi cold too. So.
Yeah, Mississippi cold.
Although it was 20-something degrees this morning, which is
But it
insane.
was like 80 Friday.
Yeah, but it was like 25 to about 28 degrees at my house this morning. So that's pretty cold down here from South Mississippi. And but anyway, I clean my blades outside in my barn. I bring them in my room. I let them hang in there overnight, and I let them acclimate to the room temperature. Then I go to working with them, and it works pretty well. But some of those blades, you can tell whenever you're setting those teeth. I counted empty tie wrap bags a while ago before I came over here. I have 5 more to take out of one bag, and then I'll have 600 that I've done since January. It'll be 600 blades that I have cleaned, set, and sharpened. But some of those teeth, when you push it, they'll spring back a little bit, and then you have to keep adjusting and set till you get the set you want. 20 thousandths is what I shoot for. If it's 21 to 23, I'll leave it there. That's close enough. But some of those blades, when you push them, they don't spring back. So if you're going through there at a pretty good clip, setting those teeth, you may miss one. It's going to leave a scratch mark on that blade. And what is everybody out there sawing? They're sawing rough cut lumber.
Rough cut lumber. That's the key. I don't care. Like what you're gonna get into, you can get a brand new blade from the manufacturer that's gonna leave blade marks on there because, like you said, not every single tooth's gonna be the exact same.
That's right. You can get one.
I mean, you can look at any of this wood behind us right here, all this cypress here, and some ash over there. Every one of them. That's why it's rough cut. You've still got to finish it. The only thing I've seen that cuts like that and leaves a pretty dang good finish would be like a carbide blade. But even then, you still have finishing to do.
That's right. That's right. But you're gonna, if you're gonna make a mistake every now and then. Yep. Most of my customers, and I have quite a few customers, and I try to
ballpark number. How many think you got?
2 customers right here.
Yep.
Probably 150, 200.
Okay, so that's 150, 200 people, and reputation is key. I mean, I'm pretty sure. Customer service, that's true. You get it with a story, a smile. Hell, you'd be there all day if you're going to Robert's house.
One thing they're trying to get rid of these days, customer service.
Yep.
And then the quality of blades that some men take good care of the blades.
That's very true.
Some have got. Well, these has been hanging out there in under this shed for about 5 years. Are they any good? Can you do anything with them? Well, I clean them the best I can and do the best I can with them. But first thing I do is clean it, then I inspect it. If it's a bad blade, I just write bad on it, put the customer's name on there. I have a little paint. It's really a welder's tool. It's a little, like a Sharpie, but it's paint, and I just write on there.
Speaking of blade care, shoot, I ran water and soap for several years because, of course, down here you cut a lot of sappy pine, green sappy pine, and
what's the best thing to run?
Diesel fuel.
Diesel fuel.
But diesel's $5 a gallon right now down here, folks.
Yeah, $5.
Water's pretty free till I collect off my roof.
Yeah. And I ran water for a long time, water and some kind of degreaser. But if you go to the diesel fuel, you can run it a quarter as hard. It's an occasional drip. You run your blade and you adjust it accordingly to the sap buildup. A log that's been sitting longer, of course, don't need near as much. But as far as care for the blade, your roller guides stay cleaner. No soaking water to wash any grease out.
That's
if you run it too hard.
I've got a bearing that's going out of mine with that. But
your blade stays smoother. I have less pinches too when it comes out the end of the wood.
Mm-hmm.
Your blade sits down. It's a lot more lubricated, so it actually comes out a whole lot easier. And I've had a lot less pinches since I've been running the diesel.
So, go ahead.
This morning, before I got out of bed, before I went to church, I was looking at this. What's the name of that on that Facebook, that YouTube?
It's
the
either
Sawmill.
Yeah, it's either the Sawmill for sale or trade, or it's the local Sawmill.
Yeah,
group.
local Sawmill group.
Yeah, there's a couple of them out there. There's a Timber King group. There's a local one. There's a Sawmill and Swing Blade group.
I was looking on this channel this morning.
The
and
Rim's not happy.
Yeah, I'm going to go to bed. There was a gentleman on there who was upset because someone had made a kind of a negative remark about something that he had done, or something he had said, or something like that. Well, I'm going to tell you, you just cannot please everybody.
Mm-hmm.
There are some people out there, their goal in life is to antagonize somebody else. If they can't upset somebody during the day, they've had a bad day. So I don't understand it. And I will say this, I have just, without thinking, been sitting around a group of people talking and said something. It's kind of like striking a match and setting something on fire, and the wind come up and the fire get away from you. Once you strike that match, and once you've said that word, it's too late. You cannot take it back. So I have tried to, over the past few years, learn to think about what I say before I really say it. It don't always happen that way, but just remember, you sawyers out there, and you people who ask these questions, what kind of tree is this, and what kind of wood is this, or how much should I charge for that, or is it feasible for me to saw this species of logs? The best thing for you to do is just go with your gut. If you have instinct strong enough telling you, hey, I'm going to saw this up and see what it looks like, just go ahead and do that. Everybody makes mistakes, and you may open that log up and be surprised at what's in there and have a gold mine. You never know. There is no right way or wrong way to do it. It's just everybody has their own way of doing it, and what my way works may not work for you, may not work for Thomas or Neil, but it'll work for you. And just go with it, and just let whatever somebody says, if it upsets you, just let it roll off your back. Say, thank you, Lord, for a good day. And get on about it.
Sometimes by doing that, you'll find a niche, or however you say that, for doing a certain thing that a lot of people don't do,
Yeah.
and open up a market for you, or
Exactly. So the other thing I was going to say is also, once you've been doing this for a little while and everything, you don't have to advertise as much. Your reputation will precede you, and you can take on orders as you like. One of the things I'll say is, when I first started, maybe I was a little bit ambitious. I would take on some orders, and I would just kill myself to get them done. In fact, Neil, we were talking about this earlier, an order that we got ghosted on. If you want to talk about it. So.
Yeah, Thomas calls me and says, hey man, I got a job, it's 4x6, it's 18 feet. I got the holder 1600, so I can, Mill used to better cut 16 feet, we extended 18.6, that'll fill it up.
Mm-hmm.
And 18 feet, I cut, I don't know, what was it, 21?
You did yeah, and I did the other, because I think it was an order of like 30 something.
Yeah, it was 21, and I cut them. I called Thomas, it was like, hey, where's this guy at?
Yep.
I don't know, he said he would be back in town, he'll contact you.
So
waited. What, 3 or 4 months later, I was like, look man, we got to sell these things, because they're just sitting there. And I haven't been sawing real long. I got my mill to saw for my house, and of course wood prices went out the roof, and we have pine readily available down here. Met Thomas and Mr.Robert, and Thomas of course has helped me tremendously along the way. He's kind of took me under his wing and showed me just about everything I know about the sawmill, besides cutting 150,000 board feet of pine.
Yeah, he's building a barn dominium, folks. I'm talking a big house. A man, And I gave you a job that day was 18,000 board foot or more.
22,000.
22,000 board foot. Because I'm like, I'm getting ready to move. I can't take this. He knocked that out in like no time. I'm like, holy crap.
I cut on that for a while. But that was the main thing I've had was is people doing that. You call, they're so ambitious about getting the wood,
Yep.
they love your price, they need it now, you cut it, and then it's an excuse to why they can't get there. Or sometimes it may not be an excuse, it might be the truth. But or need it and then don't answer, and you got like just last week, that's a $1,400 order just sitting there, piled up. I mean, it not only they're not coming to get it, you're not getting your money. You used your time that you could have been doing something else. You got your logs that you had to pay gas for and all this, take your time even to haul the logs if you're going to get them yourself or paying for them. And now you got wood that, yes, you can sell it, but you needed those logs for another job, so it's going to take more time to go do this and prolong. And it just snowball effect.
And you cut some #1 stuff for a guy one day, and you need that for your house.
Yeah,
so then
some of that stuff I cut the other day was several 16-foot #1. I mean, they were pines that were 80 and 90 years old, long leaves, super tight grain, beautiful wood, and I cut some of it trying to get this guy's order done.
Yep.
Stuff that I needed.
And then he ghosted them.
Yeah, and then hey, what do you know?
So that does happen, and that's. I kind of quit cutting for the public about 5-6 months ago, something like that, and I did a video on that, and it just because I'm getting ready to move this, that, and the other, and it gets old, and unfortunately, people will do that. You can get money up front, but I don't know. I've never asked for money up front, but unless it's like a commission piece or something like that, I might do something towards that. But really, it's I just don't do that. And you get burned on it, but at the same time, I mean, we can always turn around and sell the stuff. I mean, usually, I've really had no issue. One story I'll say is I actually had a guy put in an order for a whole lot of poplar. I mean, he wanted rainbow poplar, and it was enough to do a ceiling in a house. So anyways, I cut all this wood. He liked it, this, that, and the other. Well, then 3 months go by, and he says, hey, the boards, they moved around a little bit, and it didn't really... I didn't like the colors faded. I didn't like how it faded and this, that, and the other. And he was kind of hemming and hawing. I said, well, sir, if you want, go ahead and bring the wood back. And this is the only time this has ever happened. I said, we're going to bring the wood back, and I'll pay your money back for it and everything. And so he brought the wood back. I paid him his money back and everything, which, again, I'll tell another story about that here in a second. But anyways, literally the next day I had someone come over to look at something. He saw that stack of wood there, and I sold that stack of wood because it was now dried for more than what the guy initially had bought it for. So I'm like, it worked out, but it was kind of a pain. And if he asked me to cut some more wood for him, I'd probably say no. I'm not.
And see, some of the sawyers out there have big sheds to store that stuff in. And when you get like a little guy like me, I'm like Mr.Robert, I'm a one-man band.
That's exactly right.
Like the other day with that 1600 just talking about, one man, I'm sitting here, I cut 1,800 board feet by myself at one day.
Yep.
And it's more of an inconvenience than anything because you don't have nowhere to store it. You're out there just sitting in the weather. You got to stack it. I done learned the hard way. Cutting for someone, go ahead and air stack your wood while you're cutting it to keep you from having to
brush it. I like to brush it too, which is a pain. There's nothing more horrible than having to brush wood, but if you do that, it does help the drying process a whole lot.
Yeah, and you're not stuck with a pile of lumber that you got to go rehandle, and you can throw a piece of tin over it or a tarp
and leave enough space for your forks to get under.
Right.
So, and I usually will stack them if I know I can pick up 3,000 pounds with my tractor. If I'm doing big stacks and stuff, I might have a 1,500 pound order here, 1,500 pound order here, and have like a gap between the two, so I know how many board footers in each one. And it helps to move things around. I'll say that. Yeah. And one of the things what I was getting into earlier, and Robert, he's the one that taught me this. I warranty my wood to the end of the driveway. Once they hit that blacktop, they're on their own. Because, not to, I sell wood that's been air dried or is green. And if you're doing that, I won't sell, I try not to sell any wood less than about 14% moisture content. That's about as far as I can get down. Every once in a while I get down to 12%, like certain times of the year. but 14% moisture content is what I'm looking for. Once I know it's hit that point, I feel pretty confident that most people can work it with at that. I don't like selling to high-end furniture makers who do all these crazy joints because they want for real 7%, kill and dry stuff. I don't do that. When someone starts talking to me in quarters, I want 4/4 or 5/4 or 8/4. I'm like, I can sell this guy.
This is green wood. Just to let you know.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right. So I'll warranty it to the driveway. But sometimes you'll get someone say, I need this cut now and I need to pick it up then. And I'll say, it is green. I don't know what it's going to do, but I'm just forewarning you it's green, and I warranty it to the driveway.
And a lot of people ask me too when they come pick up wood is, how long does it take for wood to air dry? Depending on the species. Depends on the weather.
Yes.
It depends on if it's hot or cold, if it's been the humidity. There is no set answer for that.
And I hate cutting and selling oak to people because oak is one of my enemies. I'll say that. Wood that I like to cut and sell that you can do pretty quick is, of course, pine. Pine usually stays pretty stable. There's not a lot of movement in there.
It dries pretty fast.
It does. Ash, although ash is dying out now, but ash dries really fast and stays pretty dang stable. Cedar, when you're cutting it, it's probably like 19 to 25%, somewhere in that range. But you can get it dry pretty quick. But you do not dry cedar in the sun; it'll fall to pieces on you. You just do not do that. Chinese fir dries real quick and doesn't really move a lot. Cypress. So this cypress here, cypress holds some water. It just holds water, and it takes a while to dry. Doesn't move a whole lot, but it can shrink it a decent amount. It does cut wonderful. I'll say that. So again, what we're kind of leading to is, dealing with people. It can be difficult. There are some turds out there, and that's just the way they are. But if you can pick and choose your customers. Just like I tell people, like I'll have goofy comments on YouTube, and I'll respond back like, I'm not forcing you to watch my show. Like someone says, boring. I'm like, okay, you wasted your own time. I didn't hold a gun to your head and said, watch my dang show. So, what else you got, Mr. Robert?
I was just gonna say, if there's any of you sawyers out there, I'm just getting old. Of course, I'm still in pretty good shape, except for my legs. I'm a diabetic, and I have neuropathy in my feet, really bad.
Taking time.
One of the reasons why I sold my sawmill. But I can sharpen these blades. I have a nice shop. I have a room I can get in. I can sit down. If I want to take a break, go watch Gunsmoke, take a nap, I can. Everybody gets upset every now and then. You may get upset at somebody. One day I got upset at me. So I fired myself. I said, you ain't worth a damn. You can't do nothing. So I fired myself. I went in the house, got me a glass of tea, watched Gunsmoke, took a nap, woke up. I said, you ain't such a bad guy. I believe I'll hire you back. So I hired myself back, cut my hours, made a little more money, and went on back out to the shop.
So he has said this. He's talked to me a few times. He said, Thomas, he's like, I don't know if I want to take on any more sharpening jobs. And then a week later, he's like, yeah, we'll continue.
Next time you go there, you got a trail through his barn with a blade.
Although I will say this though, he does not like when someone drops off 100 blades.
No, that's a little too much.
Yeah, that's a lot because he's a one-man show.
I would rather have 10 people drop off 10 blades each than one person drop off 100 blades.
Yep.
The same amount of blades, but really mentally it's a little different. 10 blades I can do. Well, I did 14 this afternoon. I clean set and sharpened 14 blades. Man that I sharpened these for, he's a good sawyer. He doesn't run anything but ripper blades. Ripper blades are good blades. Mm-hmm. They set good, they sharpen good, and he really likes the way that they cut. So I would recommend a ripper blade for anybody out there that's sawing that wants a good blade. That if you take them to a sawyer, he'll find that they're easy to maintain and get back into the original condition. But if any of you sawyers out there thinking about getting into the blade sharpening business, I'm going to tell you, when I started this 3.5 years or so ago, I've been sharpening my own blades and blades for other people, a few friends, since the mid-90s. So I know how to set and sharpen saw blades. But I said, well, I sold that sawmill, and I've said this on another video, but I'll say it again. I didn't know how the business was going to be. I knew quite a few men around who had sawmills, so I said, well, the only place you can do, one of the things you can do is send them off to one of these companies who are a shop that will clean them, set them, and sharpen them for you.
Most of them's an automatic machine.
Mm-hmm.
Well, right up the road here, about 40 miles, there's a place where you can go buy blades, and he'll sharpen them for you, but he won't set. He don't set. He just sharpens. Well, you can do that a time or two and get away with it, but after that, you need to put that set back in those blades.
You can do it with softwoods. Hardwoods like your oaks, you probably should do it every time.
I have a friend in Virginia who watched Thomas's video, and he called me up and said, Robert, I'm thinking about getting into this, buying a setter and sharpener. And he says, I like what you got. Do you mind if I come down and let you show me a few things? So him and his partner came down. They stayed a day, and we went over, and I showed them all about the machine. And I run a Cook's cat claw setter and sharpener. I like the equipment. The equipment is substantial. It's heavy enough. It'll do a good job. I can't say anything bad about the Cook's sharpener and setter. It's really good. And then since then, I've got a man in Utah. I've become telephone friends with him. Really nice guy. His name is Jim. Jim, if you're watching this, how you doing? Hey,
sorry, we had to make some room on my phone. It was running a little bit long on the video. It's all good.
He's become a telephone friend, and I enjoy talking with him. Thomas and I both talked to him.
Oh yeah, he called us up. He's looking at a Woodmiser sharpener, the one with the CBN wheels and everything.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. Really, we need to do some more research in those, but I think it's a good tool to use if you only have one blade you're sharpening. One type.
One type of blade.
Yeah.
Being in the blade sharpening. But anyway, back to Jim. He bought a Cook's cat claw setter and sharpener, and he's called me with had a few questions about setting it up.
You're talking about the guy with Virginia now.
No, I'm talking about the guy in Utah.
He's got Timber King setter and sharpener, not Cook's.
Was that Timber King?
Yeah.
Okay, Timber King.
We'll get back there on the
Why
right
did I
road
say
in a
that?
minute.
Why did I say that?
I have no idea.
Took a dirt road in the wrong turn, man.
Listen, I talked to so many people during the day. Half of my day is on the telephone answering setter and sharpener questions.
And a lot of people contacted because I put his information out there. I'm sorry, buddy.
But yeah, my friend Bob Holcomb up in
West Virginia.
I'm sorry, Bob. I should have said your last name. Anyway,
I can edit that out.
I didn't mean to say Holcomb. Anyway.
Damn it! I gotta edit two things out now. Okay.
Anyway, he came and him and his friend come spend a day with me, and we sat and sharpened a few blades, went over the equipment, how to set it up, how it worked, and all that. Well, he went down to Cook's and bought one, the setter and the sharpener. And I talked to him yesterday. In fact, he called me, and we FaceTimed one another on the telephone, and I told him that if he'd just find a sawyer out there, sharpen a few blades, get his blades out there, do a good job. Word of mouth is really the only advertisement that you need.
That's exactly right.
If you do a good job for your customer, and he saws with it, he likes the way it's sawed, he knows somebody else got a sawmill, and that person knows somebody's got a sawmill. And he'll be just like me before it's over with. He'll have more work to do than he can do.
That's exactly right.
So what I was going to tell you guys, if you've got some good setter and sharpening equipment, it's the business is out there. You cannot make as much money setting and sharpening blades as you can sawing lumber. The money is in sawing and selling the lumber. But You don't have as much money invested in a setter and a
That's
sharpener.
exactly right.
And you can stay in one place all the
It's a
time.
lot less labor intensive.
Yeah. Mississippi summer handling
I
logs.
don't cut wood hardly in the summertime.
Yeah. So not only do we're falling trees, we're hauling trees, we're cutting wood, we're stacking wood in the Mississippi heat. That's rough.
125 heat index.
Yeah.
Middle of the summer.
It does take longer to set and clean and set and sharpen the blades than it does to saw the lumber. But
Yeah. No, yeah, I get
But if you run diesel, you make Mr.Robert's job. So
yeah, run diesel and keeps your blades slick and clean. They don't rust up on you as bad. They get a little surface rust on
Speaking
them.
of blades, I got some of them
But,
Sawyers
yeah.
the other day, and they cut. I've only run one. I cut for I don't know.
Where'd you buy
a
that
few
from?
logs the other day.
Mine, they come from Kennesaw, Georgia.
Yeah,
Kennesaw, Georgia. Kensaw
Kensaw.
is the company name. They're running those Mumford blades, and I think we talked about in the previous video, but Neil's very happy.
I only run one. I cut a few logs, green pine, sap still dripping out of them, and they cut excellent. And they're $8 cheaper than the ones I was buying.
That's it. Kensaw saw blades in Kennesaw, Georgia.
And I'll put a link to that video, and also I'll put some stuff in the description below.
One good thing too, I paid for them on Friday. They shipped out Monday, and I think I got them on that next Thursday. So within 6 days,
Yeah.
I had them.
On these sawmill channels, I have seen people ask the question like, I run this type of sawmill and my blade is this long, and where can I get it, or how hard are they to get? They're not hard to get at all. Any company out there or person who manufactures saw blades can make that blade if you want it 22 inches, they'll make it 22.
Yep.
If you want it 500 inches, they'll make it 500
You
inches.
cut a hell of a slab.
That'd be a big- I know that was. I
Kind of
know.
like this band song.
Yeah, exactly.
I know
longer than that.
I know that was to the extreme.
I had to
The
mess with
short,
Mr.
the
Robert.
short end and the long end. Anything in between, you can get a blade any length
Yep.
you want it. Just as easy as you could get a standard length blade.
Yep. So what we're going to do, not in this video, but another video, we're going to show rolling out of the blade and how to actually measure what your blade length is. So you know for yourself, write that down on the wall. You can call any of these blade manufacturers and get that.
You can measure a blade, as my daddy say, before a cat can lick his rear end.
There you go. That's,
You
that's
put
quick.
you take your blade, it's round, put your mark.
We're running out of time.
Put your mark there. Put your mark on the floor where that mark is. Roll it out where that mark comes back
We'll do a
down on
video.
the floor. Measure the distance between the two marks. That's how long your blade
We'll do a video. It'll make it a little video. Okay, you can talk about it, but yeah, you got to see it. So again, in dealing with customers though, like what they were talking about earlier, reputation is key. When I first started cutting, I had some stuff on Facebook Marketplace, and I still sell. I've got 5 manuals over there that I finished up here recently. I think I've posted maybe 1 or 2 of the videos. But in the beginning, I started with Facebook Marketplace, but I took on more business than I could really handle. You have to don't overextend yourself. Also, don't underprice yourself. Talk to other sawyers in the area to figure out what their pricing is, and kind of stay close to that. That's been working out well. So Neil and I, we talk back and forth about what's the going price for your logs or their logs or going places and cut. Some people charge by the board foot. Some people charge by the hour. It just depends on what your mill is.
And I've done both.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially on the traveling job.
Yep, and you do by the hour.
I've done it by the hour, and when you do it by the hour, the customer comes out a little better, especially if you're working hard and you're pushing your mill and you want to get the job done. As long as your quality stays good, work as fast as you want, but the customer will come out a little better when you charge by the hour.
Yep. And I won't take my mill anywhere. I like to cut here, and when people would bring it here to me, and I charge by the board foot because I didn't want it to be sitting there trying to track my hours. So I can easily, at the end of the job, look at the stack of wood out there and figure out the board footage there. So, and then I'll just tell you, so I was, my last prices, I don't cut for the public anymore right now because we're getting ready to move, but I was cutting for the public. Softwoods at 45 cents a board foot. That's your cedars, your cypress, your pines, and stuff like that. Hardwoods, I was cutting at 55 cents a board foot. with the exception of hickory, pecan, and live oak. I charge 75 cents a board foot because I hate cutting them.
Them bringing you the logs.
And then it's them bringing me the logs. If I provide my own stuff, every species of wood has a different board foot price. I mean, if I was selling cypress, if I was selling ash, black walnut. I mean, I sell black walnut down here at $8 a board foot. I used to sell it at $6 a board foot, but I'm like the only person here, and I've got to go to Tennessee and Missouri to get that, and I have no problem selling it at $8 a board foot down here. And then if we're getting to wide stuff, then that starts getting crazier, because with the slabber mill, I cut up some huge pecan slabs for Neil, and those should bring a premium because they were like 50, 60 inches wide,
They
and
were
11 foot long.
70 inches wide, 12 foot long,
Yeah.
and we cut them 4 inches thick. That tree was like
Monster.
125-year-old pecan tree.
Yep.
That's the largest pecan tree I've ever seen.
So if you want big slabs like that, Mr. Neil's got that, because we
I think
cut
I got
that.
6 or 7 of them, and then they
Yeah.
taper down from there because I got some other parts of that.
Yeah,
But
and he's been making some little end tables and stuff like that.
they're monsters.
They are monsters. And they are. Bring a trailer that'll haul it, because some of these slabs are 600 to 800 pounds each.
Yeah, they're monsters.
But those, again, going back to how long does it take to dry them? Well, an inch per year for drying, but it depends. If you're doing a live edge table, you don't have to go all the way down there. You don't have to get it at 7%. And the other thing, so folks who are running these eye-dry kilns and stuff like that, I mean, I've been reading a lot of topics here recently about people who have been case hardening their wood. That sucks. We're dealing with case hardened wood. If you try to do any work with it, woo, it's crazy. So, go ahead.
No, I didn't cut you off.
I'm gonna check my time too.
This video started out talking about how to deal with customers. Everybody is an individual. We all have different personalities. Don't get mad.
Yeah.
And people who are watching this video, try to be kind to people who are asking the questions.
Yes. That is very true. I gotta jump in one thing. When you sell your wood, they ask you what's your price, and you try to explain to them what a board foot is. I had a script I would text to people when I was dealing with on Facebook Marketplace. Here's how you calculate a board foot, and they would still
12
yeah.
inches long.
So they would still come back to like, so how much is it gonna cost? I'm like, well, it depends on the size of wood. So sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Now a little quick story. Years ago, I had a gentleman come to me and said, "Robert, I need some 2x12s. I want to build a shed for my motorhome." I said, "Okay, I'll cut them for you." I said, "Do you have the logs?" He said, "I got the trees." He said, "They're still standing.
This is a good one.
I'd like for you to come take a look at them." I said, "Okay, I'll come take a look." So I drive about 25 minutes from my house down to where he's at. We walk. I pull up in his yard. We walk out across his pasture. He said, "There's those trees out there on the backside of my pasture." So we go out there and we look at them, and I said, "Where's these trees at?" He said, "These right here." I said, "You want 2x12s out of these?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Listen," I said, "down here the tree is this big." I said, 8 foot up there, they're not but this big. I said, "You can't get a 2x12 out. You can't get a 4-foot 2x12 out of these." So,
and that happens.
That's a
more
true story
than you think. Like I'll have like someone asked me the other day. I say this has been a while ago, but he said, "I need a bar top 24 inches wide and 20 foot long." And I said, "Sir, I don't even know if I have a tree anywhere even close to that. Like it's just not happening. Plus, you'd have to handle it. I mean, I understand people want these live edge single piece slabs and everything, but they don't understand kind of how big that really is. And when you're talking a countertop, which is 24, 23 inches or something like that, a bar top, and when I actually just had someone ask me today for something 12 foot long that wide, and I'm like, I have one that starts off at 28, but 12 foot down the road, it's only 18 inches. So you deal with that. It's it. And my question to them is, can you join 2 pieces? Because if you can, I'm your man. But it's really hard to get those big pieces because you have to handle a log of that size. That's just difficult.
as a general rule, when I was cutting, if you got a good straight log and you need 2x12s out of it, it needs to be at least 17 inches on the small end.
And I've got a little cheat sheet
Get more than
that
one.
Mr. I think it's Edwards. He's up in North Mississippi.
Steve Edwards, his name.
It's something like that. He's I've got it on my Sawmill. I cannot think of
one of those too.
Yeah, it's a little cheat scale. It tells you. So like you said, 17 inches will give you a clean 12 by 12 can.
If it's
If it's on the small end, 17 inches. And it has like, if you need a 6 by 6, you need like a 9 or so inch or 10 inch, something like that. It tells you that calculation, so that's pretty neat.
As far as dealing with like customers or whatever, if everybody just stays level-headed, you can always work through the problem. There'll be a solution at the end if everybody just don't get an attitude right off the handle, because that puts a bad taste in your mouth and for both parties.
And sometimes that solution is you just don't do business with that person again.
Well, you learn that first time, and
yes,
then
you do.
It's done.
And I don't care how long you've been sawing, you're gonna run into people who I'm not gonna cuff that person anymore. It's not worth my time and effort, and yeah, it's just best if we just remove ourselves from each other.
That's right. I know a person that if you've been there, he's been there twice.
Yeah. You want this tool? Oh yeah, I got 10 of those.
Oh yeah.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
I know. I have a tool that I bought in an antique shop in Crescent, Oklahoma. Never in my life seen one like it. I asked this person, I said, "You ever seen one of these?" "Oh yeah, I've seen one of them before." They had never seen one.
Is that the tool you brought to the Tennessee
Yeah,
Saw Show, and nobody even knew up there
Yeah, I
what
had
it was?
one up there.
I don't think I've done a tool. I can't say what it is because we might do a searching or random tool.
But there's somebody, you'll run into somebody out there that knows everything.
Probably already knows.
And the saying is, the person that knows the most actually knows the least.
Mm-hmm.
But you just have, if you're in business, serving the public or helping sawyers, you're gonna find most of them are really nice, level-headed people. But you're gonna find that one out there that's just gonna know everything, gonna tell you how to do it, gonna show you what you're doing wrong, and he has no clue as to what's happening.
My personal opinion, good customer service will bring you more business than a lot of stuff.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. In fact, and again, reputation precedes you. So my dad, he was just fishing a tournament here the other day in Alabama, and while he was there, he talked to a guy who he cut wood for a year ago, and he was like, "Man, that mantle you cut for me was awesome." And while he was there at that tournament, picked up 3 other jobs. One guy's in Kentucky, one guy was in Missouri, another guy was in Arkansas. And he's like, "All right, next tournament I'll bring this, this, and this." So again,
he's been running that 2220 pretty
he's
good.
been running out mill hard. He just changed the oil.
He's like Mr.Robert. He's really working a little harder than he did.
Yesterday I went to a little antique small engine. It was a small engine, like a craft show. It was like these little hit and miss engines, Fairbanks bars, stuff like that. And there were a few booths set up, and I was talking to this man and his wife, and she had crafts set there, wooden stuff, and we got to talking about this, that, and the other. And I said, "Well, I got to leave. I got to go sharpen some saw blades." She says, "What kind of blades you sharpen?" I said, "Band saw blades for Sawmill." "Don't go anywhere till my husband talks to you." Anyway, they were from up in State Line, Mississippi. Not too, about 80 miles up the road. Mm-hmm. And so I got a new customer yesterday, and I really don't need one.
So we're getting, I know this is a long video, but I just wanted to give you our perspective. Again, be kind and courteous. Your reputation will precede you. If you deal with a person who's hard to deal with, just stop dealing with them. That's really easy. Remove yourself from the situation, remove them from the situation, just say, "Okay, I'm sure there's someone else out there who can meet your needs, but that person's not me."
Yeah.
But you got to be respectful and just do the right thing. So again, if you like these videos, we'll do some more saw talks. Maybe we'll get Joby in here one time too. We got some funny stories with Joby. I love them. But again, please like, subscribe. Try to make the channel interesting, and we'll have some more of these talks like this. In fact, we might do a live YouTube video at some point, and that'd be fun.
And we could put some videos of the stuff that's done to the mill.
Yeah, the fixes he's had to do, and the fixes that Joby's had to do to his. Yeah. So, yeah. All right. Again, folks, I appreciate you watching, and hope you got something out of this, and we'll see you around. Thank you.